Roll back, Muisar. All right, let's get started.
I cut out carbs, sugar. It was just not.
All right, roll back, Muisar. Roll back. Okay. All right. Today is a new show, start of a new show that we call On Common Ground. On Common Ground. And it's an interview show where we're going to be interviewing uh, different brothers and sisters who are going to be coming on and discussing uh, ways of us as a people to find common ground to address and solve a lot of the challenges that we are dealing with. So this is what the program is all about, is to have this type of discussion to see what are the challenges that we, or to identify the challenges that we're dealing with as a people, and to see what common grounds, and when it comes to solutions, that we can begin to address those challenges, things that we feel will be effective for us to address those challenges. And that's what today's discussion is all about. Uh, so, uh, I think it's going to be very enlightening and or endarkening. We say, I'm waiting for our good brother Pharaoh, who's going to be coming on tonight, and for us to have this discussion. I think is very powerful. But until then, real quick, right? For those who do not know me, I think that's very important to say. For people who do not know who I am, my name is Petty Sina Tebtu Ray, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabab Yananan. You see his image on the screen right here, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nawat, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture is about making decisions it's about being in harmony with natural nature. This is how our ancestors used to live. We lived in harmony with natural nature, and we argued that Black people have been suffering. We've been suffering tremendously for the last 500 years, and we've really been suffering really for the last 6,000 years. And it is due to the fact that we've gotten away from our original culture where we lived in harmony. And that culture is, we identify as Wu-Sabat. And so we have been saying and teaching as students of Dr. York, who has been teaching us for over 50 some odd years, that the only way to solve our problems is for us to get back to our original cultures, because the cultures that we're living all over the globe comes from foreigners, and it was not designed for us. It does not work for us. And we can't solve and fix our problems until we get back to our original way of doing things, which is Wu-Sabat. And this is what we've been dedicating ourselves to, is trying our best to educate our people about this culture to come up with solutions to the problems. You know, this is our goal, to come up with solutions to the problems. And this is what the whole culture of Wu-Sabat is all about. And so Dr. York has written hundreds and hundreds of books addressing these issues and addressing the solutions to the problems. So we talk about the problems, and we've been talking about the solution to the problems. And so this show that we're doing now, called On Common Ground, is about talking to other brothers and sisters about these same challenges, the problems that we're dealing with, and the focus on the solutions and real life solutions, things that we can do from a social point of view, a political point of view, an economic point of view, whatever the point of views that we can come up with, and to begin to implement things, real things, into the communities where we as a people can begin to see effect, to see a change. So this is what our focus is. This is what our discussion will be about. And we're going to be doing these discussions live every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We will bring on different individuals to come on and have this discussion with us, to see from their point of view and what they think we can do to address some of our problems. So I'm waiting for our good brother to show up, our good brother Farrell, and hopefully this is my first time doing this, as you guys should know. So hopefully everything will go well with dealing with this technology here, because I'm not too familiar with the with bringing people on, but I think we'll work it out. I think it will we'll get this done and get this going. Let's see. Also, you know what? Also, before, as we're getting started, I think it's cool to always open up our discussions anyway before we do anything with our prayer systems, always acknowledging our ancestors, which is what our prayer systems, making communication with our ancestors, always asking for assistance of our ancestors, those who are existing on the higher realms, the higher dimensions, who do assist us in our day-to-day actions and deeds. So as Africans, we always try to acknowledge our ancestors, never forgetting who they are, what they represent to us, and how they can help us in our journeys here on this planet. So we always like to say a prayer. Now, our prayers, just so you know, is for those who don't know, is done in our language. We call language is Lahaj, in our language called Sabaik, right? And we have the English translation. So I read it in our Lahaj, Sabaik, and then I translate it into the English for those who do not know. So I think it's, also good to follow and learn. Language is key. I can't address that enough. So let's get started with our prayer system. Bade Kalal Namasa Wufad ko America Semun Shalal Put. Pa Sawa Wupa Tara. Penen Safa Kawun. Pa Sawa Wupa Tara. Z Kawuna Nazula Laha Enkum. Mane Sabad Wu-Sabat. Ame Hadayan Un Shafe'un. Mane Salafu Wunataru. Aju Laye Nafasu Kum. Afuk Shane Kawun Kuma. Pa Sawa Wupa Tara. This book is the truth and the way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu-Sabat, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing from your ancestors and overseers. Return to your own. Accept what is yours, the truth and the way. And nun tawa enkum lahe panan shafe un wu alaj. And nun tawa enkum lahe nasui nun. And nun tawa enkum lahe ashuk. And kum ata salafu nun. And nun ata khara ukum. And nun talub nasa kuma. And nun talub nasa kuma. And so nun sayim nataru. And so nun salafu nun. And nun ata munwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for Ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Musba'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Jedna 4. All right, guys. We're waiting for our good brother Pharaoh to show up so we can get started with our discussion. And just guys, to give everyone a heads up where we at here. This is some of our notes that the basis of our discussion that we're going to be dealing with is so this is Nupal Live presents On Common Ground. And let's see. This is a news show about interviewing Black people who are leaders and or proactive in their respective fields of vocation. Our goal is to find common ground where Black people worldwide can find ways to work together for the economic, social, and political benefits of Black people. We argue that for the past 500 years, Black people worldwide have been under attack by the Western world, who have pushed their agenda of racism, white supremacy. Now, define racism, how we define racism, white supremacy. This is a social, economic, political, religious, educational, scientific global construct created by powerful white men for the benefit of the white race that has first enslaved and or colonized African peoples for a set of clear objectives. 1. Slavery creates poverty for the enslaved and wealth for the enslaver. 2. Slavery transfers power from the enslaved to the enslaver. And 3. The enslaver use their power to subjugate the enslaved to their cultural ideals. The creator of a culture is the ruler of that culture, who is also the beneficiary of that culture. And 4. The enslaver for the past 500 years has used their ill-gotten power and wealth gained from the enslaved and colonized victims and their descendants to increase their wealth, power, and cultural dominance perpetually. And 5. We live in a world today where white culture dominates the world, and white people develop military, political, and economic power to maintain their cultural global dominance in their minds perpetually. And 6. The goal of this racist agenda is perpetual cultural dominance, where the races maintain their control by being the ones who create the laws, rules, and regulations, with their open door policy for other races to conform to the dominant white culture or be labeled a cult, terrorist, authoritarian, criminal, isolationist, or any other negative label that the dominant white media and their advocates can use against you to assassinate your character. So this is how we define racism, white supremacy, and how it actually operates in the world as we know it. All right, so now let's see. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. So again, like I said, I'm waiting for our good brother to come on. Here he is. That's what's up. All right. Roll back.
What up, Bads, man? What's going on, beloved? How you been, girl?
All
Peace and
right.
blessings to the family.
The sound is good. All right. That's what's up, man. Glad to see
Are we
you.
good? That's what's up. Yeah. You know, I'll be ripping and running, man. Trying to stay sucker free in the world of sucker MCs. You know, I'm out here in the yard. My wife got something going on the inside, so I'm out in the yard. I ain't want to go in the basement. So
That's what's up.
I'm on the back porch.
Wonderful.
What's up, God? How you been?
Yeah, all is good. As you see, I'm doing what I do, trying to get the message out.
Stepping to do your duty. That's right. That's right. That's right.
So we're all working.
Tawutak for having me. You know,
Yeah, I'm
appreciate you. You know, I've been MIA for a minute.
Yeah. No, that's what's up, and so it's real glad to see you come out. And you got it's good. You got my email, and we had a list of questions and things that we wanted to go over with you. And so I don't know if you had any chance to look some of that stuff over.
I'm here. I mean, I did. I ran over it. But I do most of my movement on the fly anyway.
Okay, now that's what's up.
Because I don't like to rehearse. I don't like to feel rehearsed. I don't like to feel like I'm acting. So I just like real life, real interaction.
All right, no, that's good because I don't want you to be blindsided by anything. So,
hey man, so I mean, I'm cool. I appreciate it.
Okay, great. No problem.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to be here. Listen, y'all got to stay in tune with these studies. It's real. The brother is consistent, sacrifices time, energy in order to give of his soul to the people. That's what you're doing. You're sharing your spirit and soul and mind, energy with the people. These are different examples and different sacrifices, and this falls within a prescription of Ashuk. You understand? So very important.
No,
let's go.
All right, great. All right, so the basis. Let me just say this: the basis of why I wanted to do these types of discussions is based around obviously what we teach, and we put out a book. The master teacher put out a book called The Right Knowledge Scroll. And I'd like to think that I'm patterning these interviews based on something that we teach in this particular book here. And I want to read this and then get into our discussion in particular. So this book is The Right Knowledge Scroll. It's on page. I'm reading from. Okay, hold on. My computer is going slow. But look at it. This is page, I guess, 8. On The Right Knowledge Scroll. Okay. So I'm going to read this. It's a question that's asked. It talks about the spell of Leviathan. The question is, what is the spell of sleep that was cast upon blacks, Nubians, Pataites, or Cushites, or Egyptian Moors, the children of the Elohim, Anunnaki, or the Netarat? And we say Natharu for those who aren't familiar with our doctrine. And so this is the spell that the master teacher said we've been under for the past 6,000 years. So the answer to that question, it reads here. It says it is called an evil hypnotic spell of amnesia called the spell of sleep, or Amam, or Leviathan, that was cast upon all blacks, Nubians, or Bataites, or Ethiopian Cushites, and the original Egyptian Moors, or the woolly hair people 6,000 years ago at the beginning of the first moon cycle, 6,000 years, with the creation of white magic. White magic is 6 ether spirit forces: ghost, white, vapor, or gas. The spiritual part of it is called Seth or religion. It is a spell of spiritual ignorance and a worship of white ghost spirits called God. It is a it is a spiritual it is a spell of spiritual ignorance and racial blindness. For 6,000 years, our people have been in a coma state or amnesia, a sleep of the conscious mind, lost in blind faith and beliefs with no facts or confirmations, outright ignorance to who they are. The powers of this spell are enforced by fake religious books and white supremacy propaganda. That's the key right there. Fake religious books and white supremacy propaganda that is put out by religion such as monotheism, Judaism, Christianity, and Mohammedanism, which is Al Islam. The original religious books that were in their original tongue and form were destroyed. Okay, and so I'll stop right there. So this is what
Have
we obviously are dealing with, which is this thing we call white supremacy. And so I guess my discussion, what this is all about, is how what we want, what you may think about that, how you you how you think we probably should address it, and that's kind of where I'm coming from with this discussion to come up with solutions to what we're dealing with when we say white supremacy. So my first question, um, which is a general question, is for you to tell the audience, the people who watching this live, and the people who will watch the recording, who are you, that you want the world to know, and what is your cultural ideals and principles that you adhere to? So that is the first question, our beloved Pharaoh. Who are you, that you want the
oh,
world to know, and what is your cultural ideals and principles that you adhere to?
mm. So my who am I? My appellation Renani Prareaha Shepsis Daamatara Fafamun, you know, or my name is Pharaoh Shepsi Duamu Tefamun. And I, first and foremost, let me say it like this: I am a disciple, a disciplined student, teacher, and son of His Excellency, the Master Teacher, Dr. Malachi Kobino Zadak York, we affectionately call Baba Yanun, right? Um, I'm a brother that came through the world like everybody else that came through the world. You know, we were born in this world of chaos under the under the foothold of white supremacy. So from our concept, we had to fight for our own mind. From our origin, the idea that dealing with ideals, the idea that I love seeing myself, and when I say myself, I'm talking about all melanite people, and I see them as beautiful. I see us as beautiful. I love seeing us in our greatness, and I know that we can defeat and overcome our shortcomings. Those ideals are greatly rooted in the fact that I'm a student of Wu-Sabat, and the master teacher, where he came to give us. Those are the things that I filter everything in my life through, honestly, um, because those are the highest of principles, irregardless of the disregard that you might see throughout the past recent years. Some of the people that claim that they are a part of, that spiritual science, disregarding the principles and the things that how we're supposed to live. But yeah, that's the safeguard. That's the protection. Loving our people, loving our culture, knowing that we're so great of a people that there had to be a worldwide conspiracy to keep us disconnected from our own spiritual science, our own culture, our own language. So I bear witness to Wu Sabai, Wu Nuwap as our spiritual science. That's our spiritual science. It's the only thing that's going to help us on the spiritual level get out of the mental confines and spiritual confines that we find ourselves in, and then prepare us to now take the physical movements and progressive steps to free our physical bodies and our people, you know, and as far as dealing with say the national, you know, economic version, you know, a level of it. So I hope I answered the question. I'm
No.
Pharaoh.
That's a lot, and that's thorough. So that leads
Okay.
into the next question, which is, who is Dr. York to you, and when did you become a student of Dr. York, and why? So who is Dr. York to you, and when did you become a student of Dr. York, and why?
I'm gonna tell you, I know just from my internal mechanisms how close I'm tied in with the master teacher, because just the idea of referring to him as Dr. York is damn near offensive to me.
All right.
It's like the idea. I'm like, oh, they call him Mama Doc, like Dr. York. It's like it don't, because it doesn't do justice, you
Okay.
know. Because so all right, so Dr. York is who is called Dr. York, the Love Man, because that's a singing name. Dr.
Right.
York, that's a singing name, okay. But yeah, Dr. Malachi Z. York is he's my spiritual. I could say he's my spiritual master. And I have to say that because a lot of people have a problem with saying the word master because they look at it as for a slave master relationship. When we look at when we say the master, he's the master of masters because he creates masters in his image and his likeness that become masters over the minds of mortals and men. Now, when we say master, we're thinking about insofar as discipline and disciples. Think about karate flicks and think about the Jedis. We're masters becoming Jedis under masters, you know, under a master. So that's from in that capacity. He's my spiritual master because, again, like the brother said, we suffer from racial blindness and spiritual ignorance. So we lack the rules and regulations of the spiritual world, spiritual powers, and spirituality because we didn't even know what the word spirit mean because we were initiated under the monotheism and the religious world, which teaches us and which confuses soul and spirit. So most people use them interchangeably when they're so different from each other. So yeah, the master is he's the teacher. He's the teacher of teachers. I'm telling you, the best teachings, no matter what doctrine or what religion you think you are, the best things that stand out in those teachings, I could damn near guarantee that it came from him, that they stole, they cut, you know, they remixed it and they sold it back to you inside your church, your synagogue, and your masjid, even dealing with the religion itself. So when they sit there and talk about the three Jesuses inside Christianity, it came from him. When they talk about, you know, saying that a nigger, Acts 13:1, and how blacks was being called nigger way back there in the Bible, that came from him. So he's the master. I became a student of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, when I was as young as 11, around 11 or 12, because I have 3 uncles that were part of the Ansarullah community. You know, I have an uncle, my mother's brother, who was a part of the Ansarullah community, and then my aunt, one of my aunt's husbands, and then my aunt's husband's brother-in-law was also. So I was surrounded by the information at a young age. I was telling brother not too long ago, in my toy box, I had G.I. Joe, I had Transformers, Voltron, and I had what's that, the Leviathan 666, and
Wow.
I had the and then I had the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Wow.
These books were these were just things I had accessible. I had access to, which is reading, because at that time when I was young, I had a photographic memory until I was 14. So I used to read encyclopedias like comic books, you know. So this came right in line with that when I'm reading this information. And the beauty about it, my family were, for the most part, were Jehovah's Witnesses, so they studied a lot. So I ran through a lot of their books, but their books were white. And reading the Ansarullah book showed those same prophets and angels black, you know. So that did something different for me because I went to a predominantly white school, you know,
Wow.
where they were trying to extract the brightest of black minds to recruit to help reinforce their system. So, you know, I guess I yield in that matter because I'm long, so you got to stop me.
No, that's good. That's good. So the next question is, do you feel that the culture that Panabab Yananum, excuse me,
Mhm.
aka Dr. York, taught you should be taught to Black people, and why or what or how would this culture benefit Black people? So that, again, do you feel that the culture that Dr. York, aka Panabab Yananum, taught you should be taught to Black people, and why or what or how would this culture benefit Black people?
Absolutely. The first of all, most Black people don't have a culture except for what's given to them by their slave masters. They like to say hip hop is a culture, which is an industry that could have been a culture in its origin. It was, but we let the industry take it and control it. So we're not even in control of that so-called culture. So that would even benefit the oppressor even more for us to subscribe to hip hop as our culture. But definitely, I feel that the Wu-Sabat as our spiritual science and our culture as reintroduced to us by the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, is of the utmost importance for black people. And I'm gonna give it to you from the Willie Lynch book, right? The Willie Lynch book. If anybody that haven't read it, you need to go read it. I don't care whether they say it was a real person or not. The principles within it are still controlling a controlling factor that we go through today. Well, within the book, at the end of the book, he says that his scientists experts basically let him know that as long as they can keep the captives from their original mind state, their original culture, their original language, their original spiritual sciences, that they can perpetually keep them enslaved for the rest of our life, for the rest of our existence. He said, but if they are able to reconnect with something substantial of their original culture, their spiritual science, their language, he says their mind has the natural ability of snapping back into its original order. So I bring that up to say that the Wu Nuwap is that original science that works in it. It's the black magic to counteract the white magic that's been cast upon us for the last 6,000 years. And so it works from the inside out and not the outside in. And that explains why it takes longer for you to see, because it's an inner process that you go through. Because you have to, because our movements that we see outwardly in the physical, it don't start in the physical. It starts inside the mind and the heart. So Wu Nuwap, I explained Wu Nuwap, Wu-Sabat is a quantum surgery. It's the process of quantum surgery and doing surgery on our minds, surgery on our souls, surgery on our spirits. And it's needed for us to get back into the love of who we are, and to explain it explains to us why we are how we are, and why we act how we act, why we treat each other the way we treat each other, and why we're on the bottom of the totem pole, even though we are the incarnation of the gods in flesh. So I think it's the only solution for the liberated black mind. But it was explained as far back as 1967 that everybody's not going to gravitate to it. You know, even in the scrolls in the 90s, this is for the elite few. You know what I'm saying? 144,000, a rebirth for the elite few. So it's about putting the net out there to be a catcher, a fisher of men, and whoever it is that's ready to walk that path, they'll come. You know, helping the coals, helping the coals under pressure to become diamonds. You know, so
Right. No,
absolutely.
that's what's up. So the next question is, what is your view of the Sabaean nation for the past 20 years that Dr. York has been kidnapped? How do you
Hmm.
view the nation, the organization for the past 20 years since the master teacher hasn't been with us?
I I think that we as a whole misunderstood what was going on. We didn't understand the significance. We took the master for granted, and he sacrificed his life and his freedom for to teach us freedom, truth, and reality. I look at the nation how I looked at my parents. You know, when you coming up as a child, your parents are, you know, gods and goddesses. They everything, right? They can't do no wrong. And then as you become an adult, you look back, you be like, damn, y'all be messing up, son. You know what I'm saying? But you can only judge them based on what they knew. It's like, okay, they only knew this. They had me at this age. They didn't have the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that I have to do different. You dig what I'm saying? So
Right.
I look at the nation like that kind of sort of, man, because I don't think that a lot of the people that were close to the master were internalizing the doctrine as much as a lot of the brothers and sisters that were further away who only lived according to the doctrine. They didn't have the personal connection to them, so they couldn't take it for granted. So the way because I've been close to the source, and I've been on the outskirts, and I could tell you, man, like a lot of the people on the outskirts, they focus more on the principles of the doctrine as opposed to the personalities within the community. And I think things just became more politics than personal. And I think that the people have fallen out of Ashuk because of the love of their spirit and their own personalities. And you know, Ashuk, that divine unconditional love, is centered in the world of souls. It's centered from the soul, from the Re'e, from the core of us that's connected to Panataru, the overseers, the ancestors, Pasalafu, and when the spell can't affect us at the core, at the soul, but the soul puts us in position where no matter how many times people mess up, you still open up a door for them. That's that Ashuk. That's
Right.
that unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? You keep putting your hand out there, no matter how many times they smack it. You know, so. But I definitely think we fumbled the ball. You know, because we didn't engage. We all assumed that somebody else was supposed to be doing it. You know, I think that transparency is lost, and that hurt us a lot with people trying to hold on to positions as opposed to coming in together as a collective to get the freedom master. And I think
That
us
well,
just following his instructions.
well, that brings into the other question, the next question, which is, do you have any suggestions for the nation?
The master teacher, his infinite wisdom, left all of the, people say breadcrumbs, but I'm like, it is literally proper knowledge and instructions. He basically left an instruction manual on how to free ourselves and to free him. And in order not to, you know, go back and forth, you know, debating and arguing and creating that six ether energy, you know, I constantly post on my timeline. I post liberation before salvation, because that's the principles that the master been teaching since 67. Before you can be saved, we have to go through the necessary physical movements to liberate ourselves. And then the forces of nature meet us halfway and we get saved, you know, like, you know, but that movement starts with us. So I just say to get out of your own ego, all that's how we die. Desire, ignorance, and emotion is how we die, and we've been dying every day. One of the things I think that for the most part, as the Sabian culture and Nuwapian nation, um, I think one of the issues has been the fact that they have fallen victim to think like the people outside of the culture think. They think that the master teacher is on trial, or the master teacher is the one that's being ridiculed. No, we're on trial by the Galactic Confederation. We're on trial by the forces of nature that sent the master teacher to free us. We're on trial to see how we handle this situation after having somebody here with that knowledge, wasn't overstanding since 1967, and we are failing. We're not using the tools. So I say start using the tools. Get back to the script. Start worrying about your personal ego and follow the instructions. You know, the instructions are there. So just follow the instructions, do the right thing. You know.
So that leads us to the question: what is your view on the Sabian nation working with other Black groups or nations towards the goals of liberation?
First and first, doesn't even, I don't even, it doesn't even matter to me whether they're Black or not, honestly. because we have to get liberated. And a lot of so-called non-blacks will be just as helpful in us with us, going working towards that goal as black people. But as long as they have respect for us, it's about them as long as they can respect the doctrine and the master, it does then let's do it. Because we should be able at this point in our mind's eye, we should be able to how to say switch pivots and be able to prioritize our focus so that we're not focuses on our differences, we're focusing on our similarities and our commonalities. And this is something that the master was doing in the 90s, and why you had United Nuwapian Nation of Mars, which it was basically a united nation for all Nubian and so-called black organizations, regardless of what they claim they bear witness to. It was like, okay, well, let's come together and be free. That's all that mattered. Whatever, regardless of your religious preference. He's like, I was on the class, I was on the land when he was teaching. He said, listen, even if you don't like me, even if he said, guess what, if you are a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, he said you could build a masjid on the other side of the land. You know what I'm saying? Let's get free first. You don't have to see me. You could build your house on the other side of the land if you don't like me. Let's get free, and then we can work out what's going on with us afterwards. But right now, we got somebody else that has invested and benefits from us staying divided. And it's the most cliche thing ever. But united we stand, divided we fall.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, then I guess what is your views on what we say about white racism, white supremacy, and how would you suggest dealing with that?
We have to understand white supremacy as a system. And this is why even when you deal with the Tamahu and Mukasu, a lot of white people, they don't see themselves as being racist, but they benefit from the system of racism and white supremacy. The redlining and property lines. You hear famous people talking about selling their houses and have to put their white friends' pictures in the house in order to sell it for $200,000 more. This stuff is happening right now. Even, this unfortunate situation with the brother Chris Rock. But one of the jokes that he said years ago, he said, I'm Chris Rock. I'm a world famous comedian. He says, my white neighbor is a dentist. That just goes to show you the level of of money and celebrity for blacks versus whites. Right. He's like, I am who I am. My neighbor is a regular dentist. It's like, yo, so we have to understand that it's a system, and that's why I love with the Wu-Sabat is that we have an alternative system that we can function in that helps us create a world within a world until this world becomes our world again. Because the forces of nature are working towards recalibrating and rebooting everything back to its origin. And originally everything was ours, and we're working towards that now. Spiritually, physically, nationally, it's happening now. So we just have to be conscious that also that white supremacy, that racist white supremacy, like Francis Cress Welsing explained, it's a genetic necessity from these people. Now imagine yourself in a world where you control all the resources and all the powers, and then you find out through your scientists and through your experts and your greatest minds that the people that you have in your custody, that the people that you've been oppressing for the last 400 years, that these people are the God's people. Like they have the God gene, that they are the chosen of nature. Imagine now having to deal with that after the 400 years of marketing and promotion about you being the best of everything. It's traumatizing. And then the idea of the religious people having to deal with the reality that their God didn't mean nothing good for them. So yeah, I just help be a part of the system that counteracts that system of white supremacy. Recognize what it is, and then move accordingly.
The next question is what is your views on economics for the Sabaean nation and your own personal economic goals?
Listen, you are Ubuntu. I am because we are. One of the masters told us years ago, our keys to success is living up for and by each other.
Right.
You know, so and until we start to take, when you look at all the foreigners that come into the country, they live up for and by each other. Everybody that's successful outside of the European collective, you know, because they have a collective consciousness. Every other group of people move up for and by each other in economics and group economics. We are the only people that want to showboat on each other. We could be sitting there struggling together, and one of us catch a lick. All of a sudden, that one is acting different and shifting, and now they want to cut off the rest of us and go out there and do they, you know, do they thing, but they lonely. We, you know, my personal view on economics and my personal goals is definitely to become successful. But I know that nothing's gonna help. It doesn't matter what you are if we don't reclaim our birthrights. Because until we reclaim our birthrights, we always going to be susceptible to the system. You know, so I think one of the reasons why His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z. York was kidnapped and confiscated was because he was championing. He was his one of his focal points was reclaiming our birthrights. So my personal economic goal is just become economically independent of the system and anything within the system. That's my personal self, my personal family, but also to link with other brothers and sisters that have the same like minds that want to become independent and autonomous from this economic oppression that we're under. You know, so I gave a one of the videos I did. Oh yeah, shameless plug. Even though I ain't do no joints in a while, go check
No, no,
out
no.
Revision Radio on YouTube.
Tell people, no, that is important to tell people what you're doing and how they can connect with you, because all of us are in this together.
I agree. I agree. That's how we linked up, because I'm looking at what you were doing and I'm like, you know what? Me and this brother, we need to come together. We need to be a part of this because this is phenomenal. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Revision Radio Network. I've been on a hiatus for like the last 60 days, 60, 90 days, but I'll be back. It's going to be a little temperate. I'm doing a lot of editing and chopping of the videos because the videos were like 3, 4, 5 hour long shows. So I'm doing a lot of chopping up, you know what I'm saying, to make things more receivable and help people receive it more and be receptive to it. So yeah, please come on there and subscribe and check out the shows and leave comments. I also have Revision Radio on the Anchor app, Anchor FM app. So it's just audio on there. So you know, and we do also, you know, we do one of the things that I do for economics is we have natural nature herbs. My wife and I have a company called Natural Nature Herbs. You go to naturalnatureherbs.com and you can get the best sea moss products. We got sea moss compound that's like the most flavorful thing you could think about, all natural, no preservatives, no chemicals, no nothing. We got some men formulas, they tell you from man to Superman, you know, the Jet Pillar Rejuvenator, the Black Jedi, you know, help you turn up. That's the turn up juice. You know, we got some things. Come check us out. You know, and also I do music. I do music. I do movies, but it's some movies. Adult Swim. I did some animation. You know, on Adult Swim voiceovers, stuff like that. I'm busy. I'll be busy. About to get back into it. I got a new single. I got a single called "I Shook" about to drop soon. Also,
Oh,
Unconditional
really?
Love. Absolutely. Yeah. So
Nah, that's
yeah,
what's up. I have on this. I don't know if you can see the screen, but I have on the
I see
screen
the
here.
screen.
Okay, so I was listening to this
Yeah.
interview with the brother Malik Zula Shabazz, and I had the brother Divine Prospect, and Malik he's doing some program out here in Atlanta, but they were just talking about how to connect, because obviously this brother Divine Prophet, he's a Hebrew Israelite, and we know Malik, his foundation is the Nation of Islam, and then he got with the Black Panther Party with the brother Khalid Muhammad. And so it goes back to the question of, you know, they're all talking about liberation, and we are our own organization as Sabians, and we are fighting for liberation. So all of us are fighting for liberation. The challenge though is there's all these different groups out there coming from their different perspectives, and these particular brothers were just talking about on how to connect, how should we reach out. And I guess, you know, that's where I'm coming from. Is one is how does we as a Sabaean nation uh, uh, develop ourselves more of a collective so that we can talk as a body, not as individuals of the Sabaean nation, but as a Sabaean nation body. So then it becomes, well, what do we need to do as a Sabaean nation to come together stronger so that we can connect with other different kinds of groups? So the question becomes, in your mind, what do you think some of the things that we can start doing as a group, as a body, as a nation, so that we can connect with other nations, other groups, and addressing this issue of liberation? Do you have any thoughts on things that, or people we should be talking to? Maybe who should we be talking to, or should we create some type of, because I know we have the brotherhood, the lodge, and I don't know, I'm not sure what their goals are, but who should we be talking to so we can really start coming together?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this: it's not just about just linking up with anybody that's claiming anything. It's about networking with proactive people and organizations. Proactive. So what I found is when you're out and about doing, you end up naturally connecting with people that's out and about doing. So it's like, and your network expands your net worth and social capital. So one of the issues with us is that we are not out, we don't have boots on the ground. We're not we're not out there.
Okay.
We're just getting, if you've been trailblazing on the web for so long, but if you look at even in the internet, we're just getting out there. So one of the issue is non-activity and us not taking the responsibility or manifesting the ability to respond to our situation in order to be out there amongst the people so they can see that we are here. It's not happening. And when it does, it has to, for whatever reason, it has to happen in a controlled environment under other people auspices and according to their vision and limitations. So um I don't know. I mean, I know that there's brothers and sisters all over the world doing little things, but one of the things that we should have learned by now from the master teacher is that we are one body, and when people see one of us, they see all of us, and we need to come together. We have to come together, pick projects and do it. Community projects, even if we do a collective, like, look, this is a perfect example. Georgia, New York, Philly, whatever. We have a day, just like they do like pilgrimages. We can have like promotion and do seminars where we bring in everybody from all over the country to flood with literature and paraphernalia dealing with the culture. Dealing with on nonprofit organizations to feed the community. People remember who feed them, who clothe them, who helped them with the school supplies. These things supposed to be like no brainers. I mean, Nino Brown and and New Jack City was giving niggas turkeys.
Right, right, right.
That's the way to the community. Now the thing is, like, with these brothers, again, it's about their respect for the doctrine, for the master, and for the organization. If they can respect us, then we can work with them. If they can't, then we can't. Because without any respect, there's no connection.
Right.
In that regard, that's regardless of whoever, wherever, whatever. If there's no respect, there's no connection. And that's just the reality. I like Brother Divine Prospect. Um, that's the logo. So I never was trying to line me up. He wanted us to debate. He was on us for like a year to debate,
Okay.
But me and the brother was speaking a lot. And I was like, I'm not. And I had some a dossier on him too. I had I had some info on him too. But I was like, I'm not in it for that. I'm not. That's not what it's about. So I didn't want to. And the brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, he's all right. But you know what? It strikes me strange with a brother that has a law degree and he knows the power of the word and the pen, but then I hear him saying that the pen is not going to free us, and I'm like, well, every law is established through the pen, so, and the pen is mightier than the sword. So how is the pen not going to, when that's where the knowledge comes from? That's where the laws come from. That's where like so when I hear somebody that went through a school system, mastered the school system, come back to the community and they telling us, yeah, don't worry, but the pen is not going to free you. You know, I'm like, now I have to, my nine mind starts to kick in. I'm like, whoa, bro, what exactly are you trying to tell us to do? You know, I know you ain't telling us to get on the streets with them hammers, with them. Y'all got to go out there. And I'm like, oh, really? But you got people, you know, there's a place for everything. And, you know, for everything is a place. I don't think that's the right place for us right now. I think they play their part.
You think that's where he's coming from? I mean, he did join the Black Panther Party and Clinton was running around with guns on the street. So you think that's
where he, yeah. I think that, me personally, and I could be wrong, but I've heard him literally say that you will not get liberation from a pen, that you have to pick up arms. This is his, when he was debating Brother Polite back in the days. That's what he was saying. He was like, you got to bear arms just like your people went out there, sacrificed their bodies in the street. Y'all got to sacrifice. And, you know, there's a place for that. But revolution also means revolving back to the original ways. In our original way, we were in tune with the universal forces of nature, and we put those forces of nature to work on our behalf. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's another way. I'm more in tune with that way. Now, mind you, I ain't gonna let nobody put their hands on me. You know, if we come to down, whatever we got to come down. You know, we come from where we come from. But ultimately, that's, I don't want to say it like that, but sometimes it be sounding like there's a lot of agent provocateurs out there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Sometimes, God.
No, you're right. We
Yes.
do have to be mindful of that. The COINTELPRO has never stopped. And obviously we're at war, and we have to find intelligent ways to fight these wars. And that's really what this discussion is about. You know, how can we address the challenges that we're dealing with? What is the common ground that we can all agree on to address? Because that's where this theme of racism, white supremacy is coming from, is that who as a Black person on earth hasn't been dealing with that as an adversity? So that is a common ground. I think that we can start there. Now we have different strategies on how to address it. As Sabians, we have our strategy and everyone else have their different strategies, but the challenge is trying to figure out the common ground. And I think, you know, one, we need to figure out a common ground within our own nation. How are we going to come together and move as a body? And then how do we affect our people around the globe, you know? And so it's just, this is a discussion between brothers and sisters to try to figure this out, because, you know, we're at war, and this is very real.
We're at war, God, and I'm gonna tell you one again. The master left us the tools. Our issues is that we're not using them. One of the issues, like one of the biggest problems with the Sabians, is that they don't study. A lot of the brothers and sisters don't study. They move more on emotion than reasoning, than knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, right thinking, right reasoning, and right action. They move
you feel that's the case? You really feel that brothers and sisters aren't studying? And if that's the case, why do you think that is?
Absolutely. I think more brothers, the younger brothers and sisters, are studying now more, that's interacting with the people on the net. But I hear even in those forums, I hear the old doctrine principles being pushed, that that's still that's still caught up in the frameworks of the monotheism. You know what I'm saying? You can hear, you know from being a student, all the years that you've been a student and studying all the books that the master's giving out, you know, just by the type of words that's coming out of individuals' mouth, what school of thinking that they're still in. Predominantly, you can just, the phrases that they use, the terminologies, the concepts, you be like, oh, he's still he in HTM right now. Oh, he's Ansaro. Oh, he bouncing back between Ansaro and AEO. You know what I'm saying? You could hear just from, if you was, you're a student. So when I'm listening, I'm listening with a keen ear, and you're going to revert back to what's in your conscious and unconscious mind automatically the more you talk. So even if you read a book, a recent book, to have a discussion, the more in depth that discussion goes, the more you're going to rely back on what's already in your heart that you've been studying for years. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to come up to the surface. So I know for a fact that a lot of brothers and sisters were not studying, man. People were not reading, and people were blaming on the time, but they taking time to do a bunch of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to read. But that's the miracle of the master is in his pen. All that's required from us is reading. You know what I'm saying? Read the information. So,
Right.
yeah, man, we not reading. Because if we was, certain things wouldn't be as hard as they are. Because we would already seen the signs. Well, he said here to do this. He said here to do that. You know, I ain't got to argue with nobody. I'm like, okay, well, Baba said this. Yeah, but okay, you know, teach his own. Go do that. Baba said this. You know, that's on the individual. Because we all are deities. We all are God. So the question is not whether we God or not. The question is, what kind of God are you? And you're going to show me that with your actions, not with your words. Because, you know, niggas talk real good. We learn how to talk in the streets. So, but you're going to show me with your actions. What are you doing? How many souls are you helping? When you up here giving your time and energy, you're saving souls, beloved. This is Ashuk. This is real thing. This is a real thing. You know, I gotta get back to that. You know, I see brothers and sisters be contacting me from all over the world. Bro, where you at? You know what I mean? You got to get back involved. You know, I was giving my time and energy to help save souls and keep us raise our vibration raised up. So, you know, that's just a reality, bro. Yeah, we slipping. We just gotta read. Cause we behind with the doctrine. All the stuff we got, Baba light years ahead of this already.
I guess, you know, that brings up another question. How do you feel about the profoundness of our doctrine, but do you feel that the world really doesn't know, black people really doesn't understand how profound our teachings are? And so I guess, do you have a feeling of that? And if you do, why do you think that? Why is it that we're not getting out this information that is a solution to the problems we're dealing with? As profound as the doctrine is, why don't we have tens of thousands, if not millions of people listening to us? What do you think that is? Or is it us not really being out there? Or is it us because we're not studying? We don't know how to really teach it effectively? How do you reconcile with us having this profound doctrine, but not having the effect that you think we should have?
And in my experience, is because a lot of brothers and sisters is fake. They out there, like, they could go out there in Tabligh and get out there in the street and propagate. But okay, now when you done got the people to come into the class and come in to the temple, right? But then you antisocial when they come into the bookstore and to the temples. You out there in the street talking about we saving souls, I shook. But your brothers and sisters is right there. You ignoring them. So people deal with real stuff and real people, and people can feel we energy beings, whether we acknowledge it or not. So when you, like, a perfect example, unfortunately, is that beautiful temple in Brooklyn. As far as I'm concerned, it's supposed to be flooded with people day in and day out. Why is it empty? And it's not just because of the pandemic. It's not. It was empty before then. Because what happens is people feel your energy, and is it everybody? No, it's not everybody. But the good, the ones that the magnetic suns, SUNs amongst us, are not stepping up into their position to attract solar systems. They worried about moons that are only there that reflect light and have no light of their own, that's constantly criticizing, critiquing, and stopping the progressive construction. You know, these are people that they're there to stop the progressive construction. And I see it all the time. And some brothers and sisters are working to better it, but I've seen it. I've sent brothers and sisters to the stores, and how they'll call me and be like, yo, I've been here for an hour and not a damn soul said anything to me.
Really?
They're like, how is that? How do you do that. My wife talking to a sister, was talking to a sister from Connecticut that left because she had a bad experience kicking it with her for a couple of days. That's just like, yeah, I'm coming out there. She come out there and the sisters was having an event. She brought her some food and everything. They took her pot. They never said nothing to her. Not no one Rahul back, no nothing. It's like people don't want to be around funky energy. I could do that on the street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to change our energy, man. You know, we got to do that. But then that's an internal thing. So what's our agenda? Is our agenda to build with the people, or is our agenda to take from them and do what everybody else is doing? To do what all the religions is doing? What's the agenda? You know? So that's why the forces of nature haven't been working the way they're supposed to be working for us, because we not applying it the right way. That's my position on it, man. Dudes got too much. They got too much hustle in their heart.
Nah, yeah. I guess another question is, what is your view on, you have this brother here, Consul, who was on Sinetta, and you have different people. You know, you had Prince York.
Is this an old show?
This came out in January. This was in January. And so you have different brothers that are trying to defend the doctrine. And I guess, what's your point of view? Because I know some brothers don't really like Sinetta. and they don't like his format. Other brothers do. And so, you know, because I think it's also important that we've been dealing with a smear campaign for the last 20 years. And I think we've been losing that war of public opinion when it comes to us as a nation. And so, is this a good idea for us to be out there? And if so, why aren't we doing it? Or is it a bad idea, which is why we're not doing it? What's your point of view on that?
Well, you see the brothers now. You see your brothers now on Clubhouse. You know, they got a lot of Clubhouse rooms and the Clubhouse groups. I'm glad, because most of those brothers I was calling to get on my show for you know, when I started that, but you know, they wasn't responding. So, but I'm glad they're getting out there, because the idea is getting information out. So it's whatever. But I've argued the point about Sinetta for years. I stopped dealing with Sinetta when he got caught up with the polite stuff, and he chose to throw the master under the bus and use the master teacher as a scapegoat and slander in that regard. And I was like, you know what, that's too much, bro. That blatant disrespect, it was a total violation. Again, if there's no respect, there's no relationship. You know, because I was just on Sinetta with the Mark Lamar Hill situation when he went up there slandering, and I went up there to counter his slander, and then Mark Lamar Hill, matter of fact, sent me $50 in my Cash App behind. He was like, yeah, good work, bro.
Interesting.
I appreciate that, beloved. And then, but he asked Sinetta for my number. Sinetta never gave me my number. I asked Sinetta for his number. Sinetta never gave me his number. You see what I'm saying? So here it is. Both of us are trying to link up, because like I was advising in the video, and my rebut to him, I was saying, your problem is you dealing with these people that are slanderers, and they filling your head with all this stuff. You ain't have the time to be studying through all the years you left the nation. So you got these bits and pieces of reality, but I'm willing to sit down and walk you through this thing in totality, because this is all I've done for years. You know what I'm saying? This is my thing. Right. So I don't have no problem with brothers teaching. Sinetta is a media platform. Think about it like this. Think about if you having an interview on NBC News. Do you care what religion point of view they coming from? Do you care like what their belief system is? No, you on NBC News to push your message to their fan base. See, we have to learn how to switch our pivots and get the emotion out of our situations. So when I went on Sinetta, matter of fact, that brother Consul, the reason why he called himself the real Nuwapian is because my first time on Sinetta called me the real Nuwapian Pharaoh, and this dude was slandering me after that. So he started calling himself the real Nuwapian after that. You know what I'm saying? Like so it's stuff like that. It's like, well, how do we come out as a collective if we supposed to be representing the same science when your personal spirit is inflamed to have to come out against another brother without us even having a conversation? You dig what I'm saying? So
you think he did that in connection to you?
I know he did that connection to me because he came on Facebook and was shooting daggers and slandering me. And then when I was responding, he blocked me. I know that for a fact. And I never dealt with him after everything after that. I was like, this dude is phony. And I told him, I said, it's only a matter of time before you become one of those people on the other side, part of the Dagger Squad and the I'm a Red Squad and all that other stuff. It's only a matter of time before you mess. Because what are you in it for? That's the thing. I ain't gonna lie. I was reluctant to step in front of the camera in this capacity. Because when you're doing this, you're dealing with the souls of people. And it's not an easy thing. The master explained that years ago. He said, if you can go up in front of the camera or you could go in front of the people and just answer the question like everything is cool, then you're insane. He said, I've been doing this since the 60s and I'm still nervous. This is what he said. You're dealing with people's souls. That's not no easy task. And the idea of having that responsibility is daunting. Okay. So people that chase that, honestly, I had to jump out there because I was looking at too many dun-dun-duns speaking for us that wasn't even a part of the tribe. They wasn't even part of the spiritual science. People that could say they were ex this and that they used to read and read 3 books and that used to be Nwapi. They be like, nah, hold up. And then we had, I'm in that position where I could call Sinetta. I could call up the pills, the blue and red pill. I could holler. I got some little, my network is there in that capacity. And at any time, I was always being offered, yo, whenever you're ready. And I said, okay, well, I'm ready now. Let's go. And so, he set it up. So that's the type of, we supposed to be out there, how Marcus Garvey said. He said, anyway, all kinds of propaganda, anything to push the greatness of our people. I'm with it. So people that be like, oh, F that Sinetta, I'll beat him up. Matter of fact, Sinetta came to one of the to African American parade when we was marching over there, and brothers wanted to try to put their hands on him.
Really?
And I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, he was talking crazy about Baba. All right, well, how many niggas wasn't talking crazy about Baba at some point in time? We going around beating up everybody? What are you doing, bro?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
So everybody's on a different level. You can't force people to grow past their own levels of comprehension.
Do you have a point of view on students that came into our nation doctrine during this period of 20 years that the master's been gone? Do you have any point of view on them and any suggestions with individuals who've never?
Those are special people. I'm gonna tell you why. Because they don't have Baba here. We had access to Baba literally at a point where if somebody asks us a question, we could send a question to Georgia and the next day we have the answer. Like, that's how real it was. Like, we didn't have the answer. We had access to the answers. So anybody that I see that becomes a part of the tribe now, that's a special, because they came in purely on the affirmation. And I would advise them to go back to the old, to the 9 ball. I would advise them to go read those, because when you look at the doctrine, the actual facts and the Patriarch is reliving and expanding. It's like going to the 9 ball file and then opening up and you get all the expanded breakdowns of what was happening in that file. That's what's happening now with the Master Secret, the actual facts, and the 9 ball. And I would tell them to be a diligent student and to research, like the master say. Don't believe nothing I say. Check it out. Do the research, because when you research, which means to search again, when you go search again, you'll find more. Because what the master does is he gives us screenshots of subject matters and information. And when we go to look up and research that screenshot, you'll see a whole textbook for each one of those screenshots. And then that completes the cipher of studying. And now it reaffirms the reality of the doctrine in your heart. So when you're out there amongst these people that's talking slick and sound like they got it together, you're unmovable, right? Unshakable. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, all right, that's your opinion. But most people are caught up in the monotheism, which is monos. What's that? Sarcastic and painful, and theories. Most people are caught up with the sarcastic and painful theories. So yeah, man. I told you I'd be up long-winded. You gotta
No, that's fine. That's hey, it's about It's about getting your point of view. The people on my channel, they hear what I say. I've been talking for years, so they know where I'm coming from. But they need to know where other brothers and sisters are coming from. Honestly,
So
to give them a better
I got you.
perspective of our nation, and so that's what I'm trying to do. I just want people to hear other individuals' points of view, how they see what's going on in the world, how they view the master teacher, and how they view what we're trying to achieve. We're all fighting for liberation. And
That's what we're supposed to be fighting for. Some people just fight for position so they can have control over other people. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power,
right.
So some people just fight for position. And think about it like this. I'm putting on the airwaves. If a lot of people are just sitting back waiting for the master to transcend, to transition. And they got those manuscripts, those unreleased manuscripts that become NFTs, and they become 100 millionaires on an overnight. Come
You
on,
feel
man.
that?
I see it.
You
Absolutely.
do?
We have disagreeables amongst us. Absolutely. I see it.
And you feel, and you
I
believe,
see it. I know brothers that got exclusive.
that might be some people's agenda in our own organization?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because this is organized confusion. Our organization is organized confusion. you know, listen, because what's in people's hearts, people show you their nature, but how they deal with, like, you can't. You could give me the rhetoric, but when we interact, I know who you are. So when I'm telling people I shook, right, and I'm like, yeah, the family, excuse me, this same energy that I conduct and how I move it, that's how I move, period. That doesn't change based on whether you're in the inner circle of the tribe or not. That doesn't change. Like, I just seen a brother who I don't even know from Adam 2-3 days ago. Some walking, rattle back, oh, what's that? And he kept it walking. I said, whoa. Oh, get over here. What's up? Give me some love, God. You don't hit me no rattle back in the street and then keep it pushing like you not my brother. That's not happening. Like, yo, come here, God. What's your name? Boom, where you from? But we go in. And I never met the brother. He knew me from my videos on YouTube. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But that's we gotta. But I watched the master since I was 11. That might be it. So he's in my subconscious. I see how he move. Even with the idea of with jokes and using humor to break the ice. A lot of stuff. I have a lot of those qualities that I know I've taken and extracted from watching him throughout the years. And I don't think a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people are utilizing that soul energy with the doctrine. It's become more political and spirit, whereas personal based on their own personalities and what they could get, who they could control. And that's just an opinion. Let's just say that. It's a fact in some situations, but for the broad stroke, it's an opinion. So it's a warning for us to watch ourselves and get back in line so that we could get in alignment with the wishes and movements of the master. But yeah,
Do you have a point of view on ex-students who left our organization and became really big slanderers? Do you have any take on that and what you think about that, or why that might have happened?
cornballs, what you mean? Well, first of all, these are schools of thinking. Heliopolis things in Memphis. These are, we have different schools of discipline, and just like elementary school, junior high school, college, you got people that get left back. So you got people that get left back without schools of thinking, and then judge and criticize and critique the schools from outside the building, not knowing what the hell is going on inside the classroom because they got left back. You know what I'm saying? You got guys with no GEDs sitting there debating with people with master's degrees. And it's like, bro, you don't even know nothing. What are you talking about? That's how I feel about that. Everybody has their, like, whatever you do, that's your business. I respect people to be who they are. So the question is, why come attack us when we're the most powerless organization out of everybody? We don't even have the numbers that everybody got. When I'm talking about power, I'm not talking about spiritual power or affirmation. We have the most affirmation and the most heaviest affirmation and intense affirmation, but we don't have the numbers that most organizations have. Why are you focused on us? You know what I'm saying? Insofar as like even some of them try to they try to paint a picture like we're a detriment to the community. Like, how we a detriment to the community? We got dudes out there, niggas out there gangbanging, we claiming to be red, black, and green. Like niggas out there doing dope and sitting there on the camera, everybody out there following them. And you know this dude just sit there and sniff the line on camera. I'm like, but we the detriment to the community. Like, dude, is crazy. A lot of these guys are agent provocateurs, even if they're not getting a paycheck from the Alphabet Boys. Some of them is just the sixth ether in them that turn them into agents against their own benefit. Because one of the things the master said that we're in a very depressive state as far as the Nagaru. He said, because we have spirit forces within us that work against us. So we have to overcome those spirit forces first. And I can see how those six ether, matter of fact, is in a book, the master said how those six ether forces come out in anger from people when they get exposed and you sitting there with that Wu-Sabat and Wu-Nuwap. They respond in anger because they know what it's here for. So I don't mind them brothers, man. You know, every once in a while they go too far, I got to come out. I'm like Genghis Khan in that matter. You know what I'm saying? How Genghis Khan be like, yeah, you know, the creator must not have favor on you, otherwise we wouldn't have met. You know, because when I'm coming for their heads. And that was huge. Like with Mark Lamar Hill, I was able to timestamp and show how he was contradicting, how he was saying things 1,000% wrong. You know, and this guy's a CNN, CNNBC. This dude have been, you know, he done got masters and PhDs and all this other stuff. And I'm like, bro, he ain't even add up. Not with right knowledge. He out there playing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so yeah, most of these brothers are hurt. Most of them, if you go back to their storyline, there was a time where they stopped making money. They couldn't make no more money, like even after the case where the master was kidnapped. One of the most famous dudes that these dudes is running around following, that got his own little website and all that they chasing behind. He literally said on the interview that his wife got on his back because he couldn't make no money peddling no more because of what was going on with the case. And that's when he decided to shift and switch his pivot. You know what I'm saying? So these people, they tell you what the issue is. The issue don't be the doctrine. The issue be them having personality problem with people. They ask questions, they couldn't answer my questions, and then I got into an argument with them, and then this happened, and then I left. What they got to do with the doctrine and the master teacher?
Right.
You know, that's some personal stuff, like, you know. But yeah, those brothers that just fell off, and keep in mind, this is a genetic doctrine. You only could go as far as your genes will let you.
Right.
So them 30 spirits is having a WrestleMania fit on this dude or these dudes' souls. Ain't nothing we can do about it.
Wow. Now I've been listening to the brothers and sisters teach on Clubhouse, excuse me. And they had like some like legal updates and perspectives on the master teacher's case. They have that brother Jabari who's been giving his point of view on how he sees the case, and he talks about the origin of the case. And I guess my perspective in listening to him, it sounds like there has been a lot of incompetence why the master teacher is where he's at, from the lawyers that was hired and to the organization and how we dealt with it. And I've asked him, what does he think about that incompetence, his points of view? And I don't know if you've been listening to any of that or have any perspective on this, whether or not, you know, is it, you know, just willful incompetence in us dealing with something like this, being attacked by the United States government, or is it planned incompetence on this? And I think when you ask the brother Jabari his point of view, I think he feels it might be some of both, especially when it comes to the lawyers. He feels it might be some of both, something that was planned, so orchestrated to put the master where he's at, and just plain, you know, incompetence. So I don't know if you have a position on this. Have you looked at this, and what's your point of view?
Well, first of all, let me say to the brothers and sisters in the chat that I haven't been ignoring y'all. My chat was not on, so I'm just seeing everybody's comments and stuff. Say so. Raobat Muisar, peace and blessings to the family. I I see y'all in here. I see Muklasina. I see Pamuspatu. We know who you are, beloved. Peace, God. Yeah, so now this is one of those media trap off questions that that didn't hit me with. Ain't no first of all, I think the brother Jabari has good intentions. I think that I was champion for him some time ago, insofar as his expertise on the case and his experience with the case. I think that the route that they're attempting to go is a route. It's a way to go. I think that way to go is just to me, there's a very depressing way, because it puts all the eggs back into the basket of the oppressor, of the enemy, to make a decision, even like to look for some compassion within the Mukasu soulless being of looking to release the master. I'm at a point in my own growth and development where I can't even look for them to. If that happens, that's a blessing. I'm on it. I support 1,000% any efforts to get the master out, because we don't know what's gonna, as far as it's like a combination lock. And, we can't have all our eggs in one basket, because if they stop that one route, it stops everything. So we know we can't do that. Have we had people that were incompetent, overzealous in the past that were that had access and control over the legal? Absolutely. There were situations that were outright unforgivable, the things that some people did. Even some people even talk about the brother Malik Zulu Shabazz and the document that he put together and how small it was and what how it was supposed to look. I've heard Jabari even speak about that. I've spoken to Jabari myself personally for some time. Okay. Here's the thing: he's not a lawyer though. And he doesn't have any power in the regard of what's going to happen. He can only suggest based on his research and whatnot. You understand? So I think the brother means well. I think he has the best intentions, but I think he's tunnel visioned. And I think a lot of our people are tunnel visioned in that regard, because we didn't take the initiative to get involved from the beginning. And a lot of us are Charlie come lately. Most don't even have access to the transcripts. Most people don't even know the case and still have to believe what somebody else is telling them about the situation, when we're supposed to be non-believers and deal with actual facts. So one of the first things that was supposed to happen as a collective is demanding that whoever had access to the goddamn transcripts put it out there to the people, even if you had to have them sign a non-disclosure agreement that they would not share with anybody else. Whatever. Let the brothers and sisters that want to be get involved and have access to the transcripts, so they can know without a shadow of a doubt the situation. Because when you read those transcripts, ain't no way in the world you could come out with because I got the transcripts. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way in the world you could be like, oh yeah, Doc did this. No, you can't come to that conclusion. Not reading them, and on another note, I agree with another route. You know what I'm saying? I hold on to the master's route from the beginning. Nationality. I'm on that. You know what I'm saying? The master don't say nothing for nothing. And I'm of the personal position that he was kidnapped because they recognized that he was ahead of the game about the nationality, and that the rest of us wasn't even paying attention to it. He took Georgia. Georgia was his. Georgia, you know what I'm saying? So, and right now, we that's where I stand. I hope, let's say hope, wish, pray. All of those fall into the belief system. I can't even use those words.
Right.
Do I want them to work? Yes, I want something to work in that capacity, and I'm willing to work. We stand. But what route am I going? You know where I'm going, okay? and I give it to anybody that wanna that's interested. Go do the research. You know what I'm saying? Go do the research. I'm gonna send everybody to. Hold on,
that brings us up to the brother Khufu.
I'm about to bring him right in.
So what? Yeah, what's your, and can you give him a heads up? I like him to come on to talk to him, but yeah, I mean, what's your insights on how you feel that what he's doing can help us in this fight?
I would say to everybody, I've said it on my platform, Revision Radio. You see, I have a video with Khufu, Emperor Khufu, and Taj Tariq Bey. Right now, I got like 20,000 views on that joint because how serious it is. But I would tell everybody to go to the CMYE imperialgov.us, CMYE imperialgov.us, and check out the website and look up. Sorry, my cat running around here harassing.
That's what's up.
And look at the proofs, you know. And I would say that Emperor Khufu, when you read those transcripts, and it talks about those brothers that came into the court, he was one of those brothers. One of those brothers that they recognized as the Yamasi. Those Yamasi he was one of them three that the judge was like, they cleared that front row and they let them, all that stuff. We did interview. He explained all that stuff on the interviews that we said, who is Emperor Khufu? What is his relationship with the Yamasi? What's his relationship with the Washita? That's on my page. Even the CNYE on his website. And they have the Imperial, what do they call it? The YouTube. They have a YouTube page too where you can look at the videos. But yeah, definitely, I think Khufu, I'm walking that route. I think Khufu, the CMYE Imperial Embassy is the YouTube. And I think that that's the route that encompasses everything that the master teacher said that we need to do. Why? Because even what's happening right now with them dealing with Liberia and dealing with, you know, Ghana and whatever states they're dealing with, what they're looking for is a head of state to claim the master. So the master was a head of state, is a head of state itself. So you know what I mean? He never shifted from that position. His capacity as Consul General for Liberia was as a head of state of the Yamasi Native American government at the time. That's how he became Consul General of Liberia. So for us to try to separate him from his own state and just deal with him in his sovereign capacity, or have them free him in this capacity in their order, in their offices and stuff, it's incomplete. He's complete as Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle. That's of the Yamasi. And even in the new books, you'll see him still talk about us as Yamasi. And that we have to get in tune with that.
Okay, that's something interesting you just said I never heard before, which is, I thought his diplomatic status was because he became a national of Liberia, and that's how he got it. You're saying it because he's connected to
He did become a national of Liberia, but before that, he was already a head of state of the Yamasi. So that's why the super significance is that as a sovereign, he became a consul general of another country as a sovereign. So ultimately, again, we want the master free. You know, well, I do. You know, right. You do. You know, not everybody that's yelling and screaming, they wanted the master free. Some people just want him on a medical transfer. You know, just, you know, and I can see how it would work. You know, I can see, you know, how it would, you know, work out, because he'll be more free, less security to move around and make decisions and call more people and interact. Because I think the master's being blindsided. Just like the last time when he didn't have access to a lot of people, and then they released his restrictions, and he had hundreds of thousands of letters sent to him, and he sent the letter and was like, he said he had no idea there was so many Nwapians still around. He thought it was just a small circle of people, because that's what he was made to think by the people that was talking to him. But the reality is worldwide, full of people that bear witness to the master teacher and that want his freedom. You know, so like I was telling the other brother, what's it, brother Nepata? He run around talking about he gonna do it. I'm not against you getting masked out. I just don't agree with what you're saying. That's it. We can have it. We can agree to disagree and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? And we can work out the kinks once the master touchdown, whatever it is. All I know is we did 20 years of the same thing. And I'm not into that. I'm not insane. I don't do that. So when Emperor Khufu emerged and popped his head up, I was like, hold up. Let me question this brother. Let me talk to him. And one of the things that he offered that was always frowned upon from the nation was transparency. He offered transparency. He was like, look, let's talk about it. Dig it up. I got 12. He had 12 pages called the proof on his website. All the documents, all the file numbers, everything that you need. So I don't, so people, I can see people now overstand because of the lack of study. I can see me, I was prepared for it because I was already a secured party in that regard, studying a lot of the information and things of that nature. I was familiar with the verbiage, a lot of the information, so I took to it easier. But when you go to do the research, it'd be like, a lot of the stuff for the last 20 years, we thought we overstood. Oh my God. It gives you like the piercing the veil to see what was happening behind the scenes. So, and I'm going to say, on that subject matter, I'm going to say, and we have the record, we have a recording of Auntie Wakia on one of the national calls right after Emperor Khufu came and presented himself. And the brothers and sisters was asking about it on the national call. And one of the sisters tried to shoot it down. And the Wakia interrupted her, got in, and she said, I spoke to my brother on Friday. He heard about what's going on. And he said, if the brother's coming to get him, tell him to come get him. That's the extent that Baba said. So everything else after that, that's on people and how they want to believe, how they want to feel, whether it's taking control out of their hands. That's their own personal stuff. They ain't got nothing to do with us. We working towards getting the master out. And not just that, liberation. So yeah, I'm working on my nationality. I have to get established. Otherwise, I'm a slave sitting there just yelling at the master, waiting to get more additional whips. I get my teeth taken out.
So
yeah, so
what?
we all should
Yeah, what will it take to get the brother Khufu and the nation on the same page then?
Well, you know what? That has to be asked to whoever the administrators and the controllers of the tribe is, because you see those public notices that Khufu was putting out. That's exactly what he was trying to do. He was calling out for the people that's running to come. And I could, so bro, we to doing it again, not just like public call. It was like another public announcement, like anybody that want any questions, and still everybody want to play the secret squirrel game. Nobody that's in position want to come up and have the conversation. Now, is it possible that there's some conversations happening behind the scenes? Of course it's possible. Because that's how niggas don't deal with transparency. So niggas want to do everything behind the scenes. It's possible, but what does that do for the morale of the people? So is it that you need the people to think that you're a part of it before you give them the public announcement, the public nod to go along with it? I'm just asking the questions. But I think that at this point, Emperor Khufu he's on a mission. I know. Matter of fact, I would advise everybody to go to the website and read that motu proprio. He put out a motu proprio, which basically a message to the world, and it's like a think about it like a synopsis of the historical events or the documentation, the proofs of his position, the master teacher's part of the equation, like and it's going out to everybody, like anybody that's out there committing fraud, anybody that's violating, like the motu proprio is on the page. And I'm gonna say it again. And I think people should be on that, should be going through people should be going through that motu proprio and asking 100,000 questions. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Man.
People should be going through that motu proprio and asking 100,000 questions. Again, CNYE imperialgov.us. Go to the website. The first thing you're going to see is the motu proprio, and read that. Read those 24 pages. Is that serious? you know. So I think this is it. I think this is, remember, keep at it like this. You know this, Petty. We move in spirals. We move in circles and cycles. So is it outlandish or foolish to think that the master threw something in the mix that he knew he was going to walk back into, being who he is, knowing our story, knowing how we move? You understand? Like, listen, man. Listen. Again, that's where I'm going. I'm working, and I'm not talking to go against no other option. I just know that no other option was doable and made and reasoned out for me to be all in. It didn't, you know, I give money, and we do that. Like, you know, on my YouTube page, I still had donations for the house, for the legal, like whatever, like whoever going to do it, no problem. I'm not going against any of it. I know as far as my energy, my blood, sweat, and tears, my focal point. My focal point is in the CNYE, the Continental Moorish Yamashi Empire, and as a non-national, my focal point is there, and through that route to help as much as possible with the master and with our own liberation. Because we don't have nothing, you know, like this another thing. Okay, we get him out. Where he going home to? Brooklyn? Georgia?
No, that's a great question. That is a great question that, yeah, we should be talking about.
Yeah, we talk about getting him out. We he can't be no place where everybody at. Like, what are you talking about? This is the biggest case in history of the planet, and him coming home will be the reversal of those charges and all of those agencies that was a part of that conspiracy. Like, come on, like, we're not thinking it all the way through, bro. And yeah, and that's, I don't think we realize, just like we didn't realize the significance when he got taken, I don't think we realize the significance about when he being released. And I think a lot of people expect the lamb to come out. No, the lion is coming out. I know, I did 10 years. So I know how I do. When you come out, it's a whole nother reality, God.
Right. Wow.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last question before we wrap up. I did a discussion on reparations, and obviously our people have been talking about reparations all over the globe. In fact, Jamaica just demanded reparations from Great Britain, and obviously, when you hear the word reparations, our people, unfortunately, is talking about a check. But in the lecture that I did on the reparations is the fight to demand our liberation from you know, the Mukasu, the Caucasians. They took our liberation, they took our freedoms, and I argue we as an organization has been fighting for that. So if we're going to be talking about to repair something, which is what reparations is all about, I had said, well, why not get in on this talking about reparations concept, but talking about it from the perspective that we should be fighting for our liberation, for us to set up our own systems and everything else. And so I guess I only bring this up to you to get your point of view on the reparations concept. Have you ever looked into it? Have you ever did any research or talked about it? This is my website. I actually put out a whole petition on reparations, explaining the point of view that I've been talking about it, to get people's opinion on it, to get people to sign on it also. And so I just asking your point of view on that, on this whole concept of reparations. Again, my issue is not a check. My issue is we should be fighting for liberation, because obviously we're being controlled by the Mukasu on every level. And we should be saying, because when you actually look at Abraham Lincoln's concept of reparations, was giving us land so that we can set up our own system. Obviously, they took that from us. They killed Lincoln. And so all of that was destroyed, because Lincoln taught that there can never be equality of black and white people living together. He says, as long as black people are living together, then white people are going to be on top and you blacks are going to be on the bottom. So his concept,
the nature of his people.
Yeah, you know. So I guess my question to you is, do you have a take on that, on the whole movement?
Yeah. It's getting kind of messy, as far as the how they call it, foundational Black Americans versus
Yeah,
everybody
you've
else,
been
whether
hearing
they
that
be
with Tariq.
Tyreek. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm listening. Yeah.
yeah,
I listen to Dr. Umar Johnson, and he actually, as far as economic reparation, he actually gave the best um idea, which was the reclaiming of all patents, inventions, copyrights, publishing that were produced by Black people, that for us to claim and to have and to own and to reap the benefits for. Beautiful. Here's the problem: we don't have a culture officially. We see, this is where culture comes in. Who are you giving the money to? NAACP? Who gets the proceeds? Who gets the land? Who controls the land? We don't have a set organization. Most of our organizations are set in religion.
right.
We don't have nationality in order for them to say, here, this is y'all's, and then we have a nation state control it and divvy it up amongst all the nationals. We don't have that, or create a system amongst us. Now the hospitals, schools, et cetera, et cetera. That's the pipeline that it has to come through in order for us to get it. Another reason why they're focused on keeping us divided and not coming together as a nation and moving as a nation state, because then they'll have a place where they could dump the reparations at. And we can, and somebody that could be in control of, and everybody have to go through them in order to get it. Who are we gonna put? The Nation of Islam? Still religious stuff. We can't. What happened to? We don't even know what happened to the whole Million Man March and Million Man More Money. I ain't seen nothing. So I'm not deal with that. I definitely think we deserve reparations. Here's the problem, though. They're giving us our own stuff back. All of this is ours.
Right.
So when they even them having this conversation, it's still about pacifying us and keeping us away from the real situation, which is the fact that their time is over, that they have to go, and that the landlords are home. That's the real situation. That we up now. Like, y'all got to get on out of here. Make a move. Matter of fact, tell us how much we could give you for a welfare stipend until you make your way back to Europe and reestablish yourself over there where you belong. That's the conversation. This is my stuff. This ain't your stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I digress. Okay. Yes, we deserve reparations, man, but we not gonna get it. There's a video with the master talking about this too, talking about reparations and the idea that how are you gonna get it? We all scattered amongst ourselves. Talk about we Hebrews, like we you know what
Well,
I'm saying?
this is kind of where my question is coming from, is if we as a Sabaean nation can come to an agreement as a nation and to have the conversation with Black nations and organizations around the globe, or how we should be approaching reparations as a unified body rather than all these individual cells and groups popping up. But the question is,
Well, it's
should
funny
we
that
be I'm just saying, should we be talking about this as our nation? Because I say reparations is also freeing our people that they imprison through mass incarceration. And
I
so,
agree, because all of that comes from systematic racism and white
right.
supremacy.
So that should be on a packet, on a part of the reparations package, freeing all of our people. And so, but we as a
I would say,
Sabaean nation, go ahead.
yeah, I agree with you. But again, we have to move as a unit, though, and we have different agendas, and that's what's going on. And that's why, I'm gonna tell you again, that's why I commend and I have great love and respect for Adeloye Emperor Khufu, because one of his core principles is, as long as we have all these splinter groups worldwide saying that they represent the people, we'll never get respect. So we have to unify everything under one umbrella. That's what the master teacher was doing. Uniting Wapian Nation Moors, all a conglomeration of every Nubian Black state or discipline you could think about. But our political identity is this. That's what we are with the CNYE. That's what the NAMA is. That's the umbrella representing all of our people, whatever you want to call it, in front of the world. We as the Sabaeans ain't make that decision yet. Matter of fact, most of the time here's the problem. If something in real time was to happen, we wouldn't even be able to mobilize because niggas still run around trying to shoot kites back and forth to the master in order to make a move. You wouldn't even be able to mobilize. You can't move when somebody say move, nigga. So we can't even move in real time because everybody's still waiting for the information coming down the pipeline to know how to move. We're the God in that. You got to like, come on, God. We got to be. So even like brother talk about the brother in Ghana who's supposed to be spearheading that movement. I see the brother did a bunch of disagreeable stuff, but there's a God principle even in doing that. A God principle of moving forward, even if it's in a disagreeable manner. I don't agree with the disagreeableness, but I understand the moving part. We have to move forward. What is the master coming on to? Bunch of niggas sitting there waiting for him. That's not who he said. Y'all should be masters at this point. There should be masters amongst you to help guide you and move you along. That's what he said. He said we should, like, my attribute of Pharaoh came from looking at the visualization tones, where he said, look at yourself as a Pharaoh on your land, with your people looking up at you in admiration, and the pyramid and the obelisk in the background. He's telling each one of us that we are the gods. Meanwhile, we're being indoctrinated with he is the God. That's not the reality. We are the gods. We are Muntaru. We are the children of Panatar. We are them on earth. We're the body, we're the spirit, we're the soul, the mind, the eyes, the heart of Nathar. And most of us are still worshiping outside of ourselves, which is why we can't move forward, where there's no progress or manifestation. You know, so sorry, I'll be going. I speak to people in a while.
That was really good. That needed to be said. That's really good. You know?
Yeah.
And with that being,
we definitely deserve it. Reparations, God. But what we do is give it back to niggas buying Cadillacs and Kanye ugly ass boots and shoes. Like, that's what we gonna do. So we gotta get reprogrammed to think right. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, we just wasting the money. We have to have, even when you talk about releasing all the brothers and sisters from prison, we have to have another type of center in order to reprocess and upgrade their minds. Because if they in there, you know, if they in the prison mentality, then they ain't gonna do nobody no good on the street. You know, so it's about us creating systems to benefit us, progress, move us forward, and counter their system. And that's what the Wu-Sabat is a systems, because they have systems of uniformity, they have systems of control, they have systems of psychological servitude and seduction, and we have to have systems to counter those systems while we moving within the system. So, yeah, that's where I stand on that.
All right. Well, with all that being said, this is great. We're gonna close out. I appreciate it, my brother. And this is powerful, and I hope people really listen to what you had to say.
I hope they do too, man. Listen, y'all want, you know, we got some heat for me, come holler at me, man. My email is pharaohrising@gmail.com. You know, again, reiterate, naturalnatureherbs.com is where you get your, you know, your finest herbal products. And go check out Revision Radio Network on YouTube and Revision Radio Network on Anchor FM app. And when you get a chance, again, go check out the CNYE. You know what I'm saying? You got to check the CNYE imperialgov.us and check out the CNYE embassy on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Petty,
man.
like, again, you inspire me, because, you know, it's hard. I run around, be listening to your stuff while I'm at work, when I'm moving around, I be listening to you. You know, I be taking notes. I go back to a lot of times I re-listen to the classes you do on the 9-ball, because that's the foundation of a lot of the information that we're going through even today.
Right.
So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bless you, man, and bless the audience.
Y'all stay focused. Keep studying.
Definitely. Thank you for everyone who's listening.
Family. All right. Sound like good magic. Peace and blessings. Appreciate y'all.
All right. Wadu. Yeah, and Wadu to the family out there. Thank you for taking the time out. And as always, spread the word. Let people know what we're doing. And until then, we're going to sign out. We'll be back next week, guys, with somebody else. to hear their point of view on this in this mission.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. All right, peace and blessings. God be safe.
All right, family. What do?